I'm telling you, this chairman is a legend, a visionary who rebuilt the entire company from the ground up.
Across the table, Edward carved his steak with a quiet, knowing smile.
You seem amused, Dad. Andrew's new job must be fascinating.
Just enjoying the story. Please, Andrew, continue.
He's completely turned the company around. The chairman's photo is on the homepage. Looks like a man who's seen it all.
That photo was 20 years old. Edward had been 47 when it was taken. The chairman Andrew admired was the man across the table.
You've been in business forever. Have you ever heard of this chairman?
I may have crossed paths once or twice, but Andrew seems to have the inside track.
Yeah, Dad, no offense. But this guy is on a whole different level. You'd need to see the operation to understand.
Edward lifted his wine glass and let the silence answer for him. The secret was still his, and it was only getting warmer. Later that night, Edward stood in his study, the quiet settling around him like a familiar coat.
He's so certain he knows what leadership looks like.
He opened the company homepage. The banner photo had been taken in 2004. Edward started Reeves Logistics in 1989 with nothing but a handshake and an idea. 14 years later, he sold the majority stake on one condition. He would remain chairman. His name would never appear on internal directories. His public photo would stay frozen at 47.
Andrew respects a ghost. That's the best kind of chairman to have.
He'd built the arrangement to keep the company's leadership clean of ego, but tonight it was serving a different purpose. He closed the laptop with a click that felt heavier than plastic. Somewhere across town, Andrew was still floating on his new job, and Edward was perfectly fine with that. The secret was a long-cooked dinner of its own. It would be ready when the table was set. A week later, Andrew sat at his new desk at Reeves Logistics. The glow of ambition was still fresh on his face.
Dear Mr. E, I was hoping you might offer some mentorship. Your leadership is the reason I joined this firm.
He sent the email without a second thought. It was humble, respectful, everything a young manager should be.
So, Andrew, tell me about work. Have you met the famous chairman yet?
It's incredible, Christine. But I swear your father doesn't appreciate any of it. He's stuck in the past. Sometimes I think he's completely useless when it comes to business.
He's from a different generation, Andrew. He built his own things.
Dear Mr. E, I would be honored if you could spare a few minutes to guide a newcomer. Your track record speaks for itself.
And tonight he'll call me useless over dinner.
Edward saved the email, the first piece of a collection he had no intention of sharing yet. Over the weeks that followed, Andrew's emails grew more frequent, each one a careful blend of flattery and complaint. Dear Mr. E, your guidance is invaluable. I only wish my father-in-law had half your vision.
He's scripting his own reckoning and doesn't even know it.
The summer barbecue was an annual fixture held in Edward's garden under late afternoon sun.
I've got a real inside track with the chairman, Christine. He answers my emails personally. My career is on a rocket ship.
Maybe you should give my dad a little credit, Andrew. He's not as out of touch as you think.
The man retired decades ago. No offense, but he doesn't get how business works anymore.
As dinner was served, Andrew raised his glass. Edward's hand paused on the salad tongs.
To the chairman, a true visionary. I only hope I can learn enough to make him proud.
After the toast, Christine found her father alone by the wilting roses. He deflected her concern with a calm smile and a comment about the weather. Her suspicion only sharpened. A month later, Andrew walked into his office and found a promotion envelope on his desk.
Christine, look at this. Senior manager already. Mr. E must have put in a word. Your father could never...
Andrew, maybe we should ask him to dinner. It's a big milestone.
Why? He just rain on it. The man doesn't understand what it takes.
Christine called her father anyway. Edward listened, then politely declined. He had other plans that evening.
See, he's jealous. Can't stand that I'm succeeding without his advice.
Edward set the phone down and looked at the growing folder of emails. It was time to set the table.
He dialed Christine back the next morning. His voice was casual, unhurried.
Christine, the annual shareholder gala is in 2 weeks. I'd like you and Andrew to attend as my guests.
Andrew's face lit up at the mention of shareholders. He saw a room full of connections. He accepted immediately. In the 2 weeks before the gala, Andrew moved with the focus of a man who believed he was about to be knighted. He found the chairman's photo online, a dark-haired executive from 2004. The face was strong, but it never looked familiar.
Look at that jawline. That's a man who built an empire. Nothing like someone who spends his days in a garden.
Dad, Andrew's been rehearsing compliments in the mirror. It's a little unnerving.
Let him rehearse. The chairman will appreciate the respect. It's all part of his training.
Edward spent the final days organizing the email packet. Every word Andrew typed was now documented in triplicate.
Mr. Chairman, your vision has reshaped this company entirely. It's a true honor to be here.
This gala is going to be a very long and complicated night.
One more sleep. Then the room will finally understand.
The night before the gala, Andrew laid out his rented tuxedo and practiced his smile until his cheeks ached. Edward slid the final folder into his briefcase and turned off the light. The evening of the gala, Andrew and Christine stepped into a ballroom draped in gold and crystal.
This is it. I can feel it. Tonight, the chairman will remember my name.
Andrew, let's just find our table first. You're already sweating through your rented tuxedo.
Sweat is passion. I need to shake every hand in this room before the chairman arrives.
Edward arrived separately and stood near a marble pillar, watching Andrew work the crowd.
He's already rehearsed what he'll say to me. Pity.
Andrew moved from one executive to the next, mentioning the chairman like a shared secret.
This isn't networking. This is a performance, and I'm the audience.
The house lights dimmed. The MC stepped to the podium, and the room fell into attentive silence. Andrew took his seat, breathless with anticipation. Behind the stage curtain, Edward checked his watch. Dinner plates were cleared. The MC took the stage with a polished smile, and a corporate slideshow began to glow on the screen behind him. The timeline scrolled through 1989's first warehouse, a fleet of rusty trucks, and then a sharp photograph labeled 2004, the chairman.
Look at that. The chairman in his prime. You can almost see the empire in his eyes.
Andrew, does that photo remind you of anyone? The way he stands, it's almost familiar.
Just the suit. All Titans look the same after a while.
Edward watched the slideshow from the wing, a 20-year younger version of himself staring back across the room. The MC quieted the room with a raised hand. The history portion ended, and the house lights dimmed further. Now, he said, his voice dropping into ceremony, I'd like to introduce the man who founded this company and still sits as its chairman.
This is it. Shake his hand, get his ear, and my entire career shifts into overdrive.
The MC raised a hand toward the curtain. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, our chairman. The room erupted in applause, and Andrew clapped hardest. The MC leaned into the microphone. Please welcome the chairman and founder of Reeves Logistics, Edward Reeves. From the wing, Edward walked into the spotlight. His silver hair caught the chandeliers and the applause swelled.
No, it can't be. The chairman. It's Edward.
Andrew's hands dropped to his sides. Every ounce of color drained from his face as if a plug had been pulled.
Oh, that's incredible.
But her laugh caught in her throat as she looked at Andrew's face. She hadn't known either.
Every email, every insult, every time I called him useless, he saved them all. He knew.
There he sits. Frozen. The man who called me useless and asked for my mentorship.
Edward adjusted the microphone and let the silence stretch. His gaze never left the table near the back. He began his speech, but the first words felt like a door closing on a trap. The real conversation hadn't started yet. Edward spoke about integrity and leadership, the quiet weight of mentorship, and the difference between seeking approval and earning it.
A title means nothing if the person who carries it can't be trusted in a room where no one's watching.
Andrew's jaw clenched so hard it ached. Every word landed like a sentence he'd already earned. Edward paused and let the speech settle. Then he turned toward the wing and gave a small nod. An assistant emerged from the curtain and placed a thick folder in his hand. The gold letters on the cover caught the light.
Before I close tonight, I have a personal matter, one that belongs to this family, the company's, and my own.
He stepped down from the stage and walked into the aisle. The room parted like water, all eyes following him. Andrew sat frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe. Christine's hand gripped the tablecloth.
He's counting the seconds until I reach him. Good.
Edward stopped at the edge of Andrew's table. The folder pressed against his palm, still unopened, and the room held its breath. Edward placed the folder on the table and opened it to the first page, the paper stark under the chandelier light.
Dear Mr. E, your guidance is invaluable. I only wish my father-in-law had half your vision.
Andrew's eyes dropped to the printed email. The phrase, useless father-in-law, was highlighted in yellow.
He cataloged everything, every private insult. I'm buried in my own words.
Christine looked from the paper to Andrew, her mouth opening but no sound coming out.
Andrew, you said that about my father? While asking for his mentorship?
It was venting. I never meant for it to be seen.
You meant it. You just never imagined the room you were speaking into had open ears.
Christine snatched the packet from the table. Her face hardened into something he had never seen before. She read in silence, her eyes moving down the pages, each line cutting deeper than the last.
You sat at our dinner table every night and called him useless? You wrote these groveling emails and then came home and mocked him?
Andrew's mouth opened, but the words were buried under the weight of his own printed stupidity. Around them, the other guests became fascinated with their napkins and the ceiling, excusing themselves to anywhere else.
The silence did more damage than any speech, and Edward let it stretch, watching Andrew drown in it.
I didn't know it was you. I swear to God, I didn't know.
Now you do.
Edward straightened his blazer and walked back toward the stage, his task complete. Andrew's eyes dropped to the highlighted phrase, useless father-in-law, seeing it as if for the first time.
We are not finished with this, Andrew. You've broken something tonight I'm not sure you can fix.
The MC announced the next speaker, and applause filled the ballroom like a lid being screwed back on. Christine clutched the packet, and Andrew remained frozen, staring at nothing. They left the gala in silence. The car became a glass chamber of unspoken rage.
You owe me the truth. How did you imagine this ending?
I thought Mr. E was a distant executive. The photo was too old to recognize. I never imagined it was your father.
You built two separate lives, Andrew. The man you mocked at dinner is the man who gave you your career.
At home, the printed emails lay on the dining table. Christine paced, her words like shards of glass.
This wasn't venting. This was contempt. You never respected my father, and you hid it from me.
I'll fix this. I'll resign. I'll apologize. Please, Christine, give me a chance.
Resigning doesn't erase your words. I need space. Don't come to our room tonight.
He spent the night on the couch, staring at the ceiling. By Monday morning, an envelope marked resignation sat on his desk. His fingers hovered over the paper, but he didn't seal it. Not yet. He needed to face Edward one last time. Monday morning, Andrew walked into Edward's high-rise office, his resignation letter clamped in a sweating hand.
I'm resigning. I can't stay after what I did. You have every right to bury me.
Edward looked at the envelope without opening it. The silence pressed down like a verdict.
Sit down.
Edward slid the letter back across the desk with 2 fingers. He hadn't even broken the seal.
Resigning doesn't teach you anything, Andrew. It just lets you run from the mess. I'm not interested in your running. You can leave or you can learn. There's an opening on the warehouse floor. Union scale. Manual work, you'll earn nothing but calluses and respect.
Warehouse floor. He's stripping me down to nothing.
If you're willing to start where the real work gets done, you can stay. Otherwise, the door is open.
Andrew stared at the envelope, then at the man who had been his invisible mentor all along. The choice hung in the air, unspoken and agonizing. Andrew left Edward's office without the envelope. He had made his choice.
I took the warehouse job, Christine. It's the only way forward for me.
Maybe this is what you need. Humble work, honest pay. We'll see if you last.
The next morning, he reported to the warehouse, his navy jumpsuit stiff and unfamiliar.
Concrete floors and forklifts as far as I can see. I am a stranger in my own company.
The first day broke him. 12 hours of loading pallets, his hands raw, his pride shredded into something unrecognizable. He ate lunch alone in the break room, staring at his calloused palms.
This is what they do every day. The people I never noticed.
By Friday, every muscle ached with a lesson he could no longer ignore. He sat in the empty break room, exhaustion grinding him down, but a stubborn flicker burned behind his eyes. He was not quitting. 4 years of working the concrete floor taught Andrew more than any boardroom ever could.
Check the load straps twice before you move. I've seen shortcuts cost time and fingers.
The workers nodded. Andrew had earned a language no title could give, the respect of a team that trusted him.
You're different now, quieter. I actually want to hear what you have to say.
I used to think I was owed things. Now I know nothing is owed. Everything is earned.
Edward watched from the catwalk above, noting every improvement without ever announcing his presence.
He stopped needing an audience to feel important. That's when leadership begins.
One morning, Edward walked onto the warehouse floor without warning.
Chairman, I didn't know you were coming.
Edward's eyes traveled over Andrew, measuring the distance between the man who had once called him useless and the man who now stood before him. Edward nodded once, his voice quiet and certain. The warehouse hum muffled his words from the workers outside.
I've been watching you for 4 years, Andrew. You've done what every man hopes to do. You turned your worst mistake into your best teacher. You've become the leader you pretended to be when you first sent those emails, and that is no small thing.
He extended his hand, palm open, the same hand that had once placed a folder on a ballroom table.
4 years of concrete and silence, and it all boiled down to this handshake. I didn't know I needed his approval until he gave it. Thank you, sir. I don't deserve this, but I'll spend the rest of my career earning it.
Deserving isn't the word. You learned. That's all I ever asked.
The handshake lingered longer than protocol allowed, a conversation without sound. Edward released his grip and stepped back, a quiet smile breaking his usual reserve.
He saw something in me that I never saw in myself, a capacity to rebuild, and he never gave up on me.
Edward invited them to dinner the following Sunday. No agenda, no folder, just a table set for 3.
I didn't know you cooked, Dad. This is unexpected.
That photo on the website, the 2004 one. Why keep your face hidden for so long?
I wanted the company to stand on its systems, not on my name. The chairman should be a principal, not a personality.
I understand now. You didn't want the spotlight, even from your own family.
The best leaders are the ones nobody notices until the work is already done.
They shared a quiet laugh about the early days, when Andrew had praised the chairman to the chairman himself.
Thank you for not making me leave, for making me earn it.
You earned it yourself. I just gave you a different floor to walk on.
At home that night, Christine wrapped her arms around Andrew in the doorway. The old days were finally behind them. The offer came on a Tuesday, stamped from a firm 3 states away. Vice President of Operations.
VP of Operations, after everything someone actually sees it.
He didn't celebrate. He drove straight to Edward's office, the letter in hand, not as a demand, but as a question.
I got this offer, sir. I wanted you to see it before I decided anything.
Edward read the letter slowly, his expression unreadable until the corner of his mouth lifted.
You've earned this, Andrew. Go. But remember, the ground you walk on now is the floor you learned on.
He's giving me his blessing. 4 years ago, I gave him a resignation he refused. Now he's sending me out with honor. I'll never forget where I came from. Thank you, Edward.
They shook hands, and this time the envelope was empty. No resignation, just a career carved from calluses. Andrew walked out of the office, not in shame, but in triumph. Edward watched him go, satisfied. That evening, Edward stood in his garden, the sun low and gold behind the oaks. His silver hair caught the light like a slow fire.
He became the man I always knew he could be. It just took a warehouse floor to get there.
He thought of the emails he'd saved, the packet he'd carried, the silence he'd kept. None of it felt like revenge anymore.
It felt like a lesson delivered in the hardest currency a man can spend time.
The garden had taught him that too. Roses only bloomed after a skillful pruning. He sat on the bench that faced the old oak, the same bench where Christine had once asked if he was okay.
She'll never wonder again. Andrew is proof that good roots run deep.
The sun sank lower, and Edward lifted his pruning shears once more. The work was never really finished, and that was the point. The best lessons are the ones we never knew we were teaching, and in the quiet of that garden, Edward Reeves had never been prouder. Andrew left for his new role, but the warehouse lessons stayed with him forever. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps us bring more true life lessons to your screen. True power never needs to shout. It waits, watches, and when the moment is right, sets the table. From a bragging son-in-law to a respected leader, the journey was never about humiliation. It was about learning what leadership actually costs. Edward never told Andrew who he was. He let the warehouse floor do the talking. If you believe in second chances, drop a comment below. Tell us about a time you rebuilt from the ground up. Andrew and Christine rebuilt their marriage, brick by brick, and today they are stronger than ever. Thank you for watching. Remember, the strongest foundations are built not on pride, but on the humility to learn. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and never underestimate the quiet ones in the room. See you in the next story. And as the sun set on that garden, Edward understood something that had eluded him for years. The truest form of power is never proven on a stage, nor does it require applause. It is proven in the quiet decisions, the withheld words, the patience to let someone grow. Andrew had become the man Edward always knew he could be, not because of a revelation, but because of a floor. A warehouse floor that taught him what boardrooms never could. The weight of a real day's work, the dignity of sweat. And Edward? He returned to his roses, the same ones he had been pruning for a lifetime. He never needed to shout. He never needed to be seen. He just needed the soil to be right and the roots to go deep. True power never needs to shout. Thank you for joining us. Share this story with someone who needs a second chance. Until next time.